Welcome to the October edition of Maythorn Monthly, and this autumn we're in Derbyshire, and this is Manor Park at Glossop. We will have a look around Glossop later on, and also a quick look at the disused railway line. We've got to try and fill our transport spot with something, so we'll look at some transport that hasn't run since the 60s, disused railway line near Buxton. That's all happening later in this edition of the Maythorn Monthly. This is Glossop Town Centre. Lots of old stone buildings, some new stone buildings as well, and some nice parks to visit. The Glossop Brook runs right through Glossop. It's a good place for it to run, isn't it? And the railway station has a direct link with Manchester and trains running every half hour into the city. We had our breakfast at this Wetherspoons, and we stayed in a travel lodge just around the corner right by the public car park. Everything was very convenient, even when we went out at night and needed a restaurant to eat in. We found a nice Sri Lankan restaurant, very pleasant inside, and it was one of the restaurants on the Meerkat Meals deal, so we got our main courses and desserts at 2 for the price of 1. I'd recommend this restaurant, by the way. If you're ever in Glossop, why not drop in and try them out? On the property front, this is the front of my house in Trythin with a cable hanging down, so we reported this to Scottish Power in case it was dangerous. They decided it was and turned off the electric for the whole block. Didn't please the neighbours very much. We're clearing the corner now and putting cables through plaster, ready for the hot water cylinder, and it arrived in the last month, and it's not up on the wall yet, but that's in progress. In the meantime, we hung all those wires back into the ceiling that you saw dangling down in the kitchen recently. Oh, don't look at the garden, I haven't had a chance to do anything with that. So Scottish Power turned up, not one but 2 vans and 2 men to cable tie the cable back to the wall and turn our neighbour's power back on. They were pleased with that, particularly the garage across the road, who had his ramp halfway up. And in Bulgaria, Davey's still been working on this house for Denise and Vicky. The floor in the kitchen was cracked and only 6mm thick, so that was all dug up and replaced. Work is still in progress when I last checked, but I'm sure we'll have some more pictures next month. So remember, there was a gap between these 2 buildings. We'd gone through it with our camera to show you the bathroom they were building around the back. Well, the time has come in the last month to join the 2 buildings together. So first of all, they had to knock a hole in the wall so they could climb through once it was bricked up, and the only other way would be through a window. So there's the bricking up. Well, 2 different size and shape roofs needed joining together. That's how it looks from the front, and from the back it's a little bit clearer as to the type of solution they've had to provide. It's a lot cheaper doing that than rebuilding the whole roof completely. There's work going on inside now to open up the rooms and finish them off, and work going on outside to give more outside space and patio areas, and there'll be more of that in the months to come. Moving on now to Dabrovino, which is about 20 odd miles from Varna, and this house is for sale. I was contacted by a YouTube viewer to say that he had this house on a couple of acres of land And the land is actually quite well looked after and cultivated. He's obviously growing something, and if I was a gardener, maybe I could give a guess as to what it might be. The house looks sound to me. There's some decoration needs doing and a bit of plastering and a ceiling repair. But it's going to cost you just under £7,000, but it's a house you can then put your own stamp on and bring it into the specification that you want. The furniture's been left inside, as you can see, and there's two really nice features I like about this, because I often complain that the inside of traditional Bulgarian houses is quite dark, but there's some triple pane windows here for looking out onto the land, and also outside there's an interesting feature in that it's got a proper well, and obviously in use, because I think you can see a wire going down to the well, which is actually quite deep. So all in all, fairly solid house with plenty of potential, loads of land to do things with, and one or two nice features. And it's very near to the coast, 20 odd miles, and you're in Varna. We'll take another look at Varna from our February visit in just a moment.
On 202 and VHF, this is Radio Merseyside. I said earlier on in the day, at about 5 to 2, that we're hoping to have Mungo Jerry along in the studio, and we have three of them along. I know Ray Dorset, unmistakable from his television appearances. And would you like to introduce the other two you brought with you?
Yeah, Tim Reeves on drums.
Yeah.
And Bob Daisley.
Yeah.
Plays bass.
Bass, right.
Yeah.
And you haven't come to Liverpool especially for the show, obviously. Tell them what you're here for.
Oh, we're doing a club thing tonight.
Yeah, you can advertise. Go on.
Oh yeah, it's at the Cavern.
At the new Cavern.
See you down at the Cavern tonight. The new Cavern, yeah.
Yeah. So have you ever been to the old Cavern?
No, I missed out on that. But Bob's been there before.
You have.
Yeah.
What, in another group?
Yeah.
What were you in?
Chicken Shack.
In Chicken Shack, you were.
Yeah.
Can you lean in a bit so we can hear you a bit better?
Chicken Shack.
Yeah, man. I remember that's freshly packed and ready to serve and all that.
Yeah.
Were you on it then?
No.
Especially that was a good album. There you go. When you made all those in the summertime and Mighty Man and all that,
Yeah.
he wasn't in the group then.
No, I've got a new group now, a new lineup. Well, a new keyboard player, a new bass player. Tim was the first drummer that we had with the band, but originally we didn't have a drummer. And how long have you been with Tim? 18 months.
But what you did before was jug band, they call it.
Well,
didn't
some of it was like jug band, country blues thing. The jug band thing, which was a sideline, like it took over a bit. And because we didn't have any drums, they were the numbers that got featured more on stage. Even like the second single that we did, Baby Jump, that was a rock number.
Yeah.
But we didn't have any drums on stage to complement it.
I must say, I'm very pleased that your new single isn't a maxi single in a way, because the quality was very limited, the sound quality on those maxi singles.
Right, you get the levels way down, isn't it,
Yeah.
on there?
And
you get the problem of having to produce special records for jukeboxes, and also DJs playing at the wrong speed.
heard that done as well. Yeah.
Yeah. We just did Top of the Pops last night, so that's going out on Friday.
They still record it on a Wednesday, although.
Yeah.
Good heavens.
The single came in at 43.
Did it? Yeah.
And we just come back from a 3-week tour of Scandinavia. On the 19th, we're off again for about 5 weeks. We're going to Spain, then Ireland,
in Germany.
Yeah, Germany. Summertime is pretty quiet in England, really, because all the colleges are closed down. A lot of people go away, and it's good for us to go away, isn't it? Really.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about All Right, the single? Is it
All right.
is it typical of what you want to do at the moment?
I suppose it's got to be, really, because otherwise we wouldn't have put it out. If it wasn't, obviously we have to put out a commercial single.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't in context with the band, then we wouldn't have put it out.
Is there an LP around at the moment?
No,
You're planning one?
not really.
You're
Thinking about one, but we haven't routine
different
for now.
plans made, is it?
No.
Ray, you're credited with writing most of the stuff I've seen on record.
Yeah, unfortunately, my contractual arrangements are not.
Oh, one of them.
Don't let me kind of write anything at the moment.
Ah. So is that sort of stop you doing anything?
Oh no. Well, yes.
Yes.
It sounds rather restricting, I must say. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for there's just a little bit of an agreement got to be sorted out, you see, before I start writing again.
Oh well. So the single is climbing, and with Top of the Pops will climb even more. So I wish you good luck with it. And would you like to introduce it?
Right.
Do you?
All right.
Do a noddy holder, yes. Yeah.
What?
What else can you say?
I've been saying that for years, actually.
Yeah, and they can all see you tonight at the Cavern.
Right, yeah, see you all down at the cabin tonight. If you want
Right.
to come and say hello, have a sing.
Thanks very much for coming in, lads.
Yeah.
Well, who's the missing person? Would you...
Johnny Cook, the
Keyboards.
keyboard player.
Ah.
He fell asleep at our road manager's house last night, and
He's coming with the roadies.
Yeah, he must be down at the club now, I guess.
Ah.
They were supposed to bring him down here. He's, I don't know what's happened to him.
All right.
All right.
All right.
That's an interview I did with Ray Dorset and Mungo Jerry back in July 1973. Now here's that disused railway line I promised you, and it's Millersdale Station, now known as the Monsell Trail. It's a part of Derbyshire near Buxton where the cyclists love to ramble along. There's a couple of old flyovers. There were 2 lines here that used to meet at this station, and people used to change off a train from London to Manchester to get local trains into Buxton. There's more of this on my main YouTube channel. Let's try and give you a bit of a transport spot this month. It's not been easy as no unnecessary travel is allowed, but I have been spying these buses in Llandudno. The normal tour bus, the double-decker, and also a minibus. They have a couple of these, the Alpine Company, and the whole of the back roof section, including the windows, slides back, so you're kind of exposed to the open air. You can also travel by cable car because social distancing isn't an issue. No doubt it's just you and your family unit on that. And I promised you a miniature railway in Glossop, so we're back in Manor Park. And this isn't just your small circuit of track that you get round some public parks. This is quite extensive. As I walked round the park, I kept seeing more and more of the track. And the track was unfortunately all I did see, as the trains are not running, for the same reasons as everywhere else. But I did visit the terminus station here with a place to turn round the locomotive, so it's a proper train service. It was in December 1998, when I was in Gran Canaria, that I bought myself a Christmas present of a widescreen camcorder. Up until then I'd been using this camcorder, which I gave to 12-year-old Mike, and he carried on filming during our holiday. At this time there was no specific recording or broadcast system for sending out widescreen pictures, so some tricks were used by the camera maker. The Panasonic camera I bought had an anamorphic lens. Now you don't need to worry about what that does, just to understand that up until this point all pictures on TV were squarish with a ratio of 4:3. Now you multiply those numbers by 3 and you have 9 units high, let's call them inches, and 12 units or inches wide, and then widescreen makes it wider still, and so you have a ratio of 16:9, which is what it's called today. The anamorphic lens would squash down the 16:9 wide picture into the box that is 4:3 from that era, and then when you play it back you stretch it again to make it look widescreen. So a few days into the holiday I found a camera in a local shop in a tax-free island. It was a lot cheaper, so this camera that Mike is now using I replaced with the one you can see in my hand here. So Mike is filming me on the old square camera, and then I film him on my new widescreen camera, and we both very wisely put our cameras on the wall because we don't have a tripod. When you're in a warm sunny place like Puerto Rico in Gran Canaria, you eat all your meals out, and this is us having breakfast in a commercial centre, and the Canaries at the time were proper tax-free islands, so everything was cheaper, and I bought the new camera at quite a saving on the UK price. The commercial centre that I bought it in was also where we were having breakfast at this point. So let's take the camera out on an excursion, and this was a sunset cruise which took us way out into the ocean and over quite near to Tenerife. So as you watch this video you may see Mount Teide, the volcano which is actually the high point of Tenerife. There's some beautiful pictures, and it doesn't matter what technology we've got and whether this is an old tape in standard definition or what, somehow sunsets just look brilliant. This was a really decent sized catamaran, and did I mention it was Christmas? Had a decent bar. They served us a hot buffet halfway through the evening, and unfortunately Mike didn't take any pictures that night because something in the buffet made him ill. Every camera and camcorder I've owned over the last 20 years, I've always taken it out at night to see what it was like, and nothing much has changed in that respect. The only thing you can see on your film or tape or whatever is what's lit up. None of them can see in the dark, certainly not in the £500 consumer range that I can buy in, probably not even in the £5,000 range. Perhaps a budget of £50,000 that a broadcast company has will get them some good after dark pictures. But we won't worry about that. £500 quite enough for me to spend on bringing you these videos. On a couple of my previous Canary Island videos you'll have seen camels in the background. Well, this time they're getting the feature. Mas Palomas, which is a kind of desert area, is where we went for the camel trek this day. Now, My video was taken from a camel's back, so it's a bit shaky. There was an official videographer who was following us round, but he disappeared for 10 or 15 minutes at a time, and we found out later why. Just over the sandhills, I can't remember if it's to the left or the right, is a nudist beach. We think he took his camera there. The nightlife and the range of restaurants and bars in most Spanish resorts is pretty much the same. Here's a feature we haven't showed you before, but it is quite common. Happy Hair is the name of this vendor, and our Colette is having her hair happied. And here we are on the balcony of our apartment, and this is our last full day here in Gran Canaria. We're hoping to go down into town today, go to the water park, if Michael's feeling better, but judging by the way he's eating now, I think he is. We're actually leaving here tomorrow morning, about lunchtime in fact, to fly home to cold old England. We're making the most of this weather while we can. There are water parks like this in a lot of foreign resorts as well, but we haven't shown you one yet, so here it is, the Token Water Park. And I was still testing the new camera. Now, I did say that in those days there wasn't the editing facilities and the special effects on your computer, but you did have special effects built into your camera, so I was having a play with them as well. You can do fades and effects to make things go black and white. You can even make people look very blurred. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. The thing is, once they're on the video, you can't take them off again. I much prefer today's scenario where I shoot clean video and decide whether I want to add some effects when I get home. So that was 1998, the year that I switched from square pictures to widescreen. In next month's Canary Corner, I'll be switching from standard definition to high definition. I'm not sure if this is a property story or a transport story, but I was taking these shower doors out of my car and one of them just shattered. And I was picking glass from my car and from our driveway for days afterwards. I wasn't impressed. And finally, let's look back at the Maythorn Monthly from 2 years ago. We were in Higher Kinnerton looking back at the village day that we'd had. We were at the hunting lodge in Svistov, Bulgaria, overlooking the Danube. And I went to Marina Door and took some video at dusk as the sun was setting behind the hills, just to get a few different photos. Also in Svistov I made a return visit to the Human Sundial. I do love that spot. In Trythin we were putting a new upstairs floor in the house there, and back in Bulgaria Colin was putting a kitchen in what was the old hallway in his house. And finally, the grandchildren had just come back from spending the whole summer holiday in Australia, and they brought some pictures back of their trip. That's all for this month. See you in November.